Yeah, let me add myself to the stream. Remove this one. Can you hear me right now? What's going on? What's going on? Hey, what's good? I mean, if I got anybody in the building, I'm about to put this on my community post real quick. Hey, Anna, what's up with you, Anna? What's up, Mamacita? Mamacita in the building. Ana Rodriguez is in the building. What's going on with you? All right, give me one moment. I'm gonna put this in the community tab. I have one person in mind that I was going to talk about this with, and I'll give him the opportunity to respond to his own video. So give me 1 second, real quick. Let me get that going. All right, let me see here. Go on my channel real quick, and let's put this on to the post. And I'm gonna add him real quick. See if he'll come through. Let's see what else is in here. All right, there you go. All right. So this video is going to be a little different today. I'm not doing kind of like Manispherian content. More of wrestling, and more about let's talk about. I do see consistency sometimes with us wrestling fans. I think that we're becoming like the woke, where certain people can't talk about it because they were involved in the a similar action per se. So I'm gonna play real quick a I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I'm gonna play a video here on YouTube. Let's see if I can do this real quick. All right, there we go. I'm gonna share the screen. Let me know if you guys can see it. All right there. Shout out to Millennial Smart. I'm gonna review this video real quick, and if he's up, I'll send out the link to him if he wants to come up. So give me one moment. Let me get this started, and we're gonna go right from the beginning. Let's get right here. So make sure you subscribe to Millennial Smart if you haven't. I'm gonna put his link in the chat real quick. He's a good brother. You know, I talked to him a couple of times online. You know, different perspective. And there goes his link right there in the chat. I'll post it again. Millennial Smart. All right. So this is about Vince Russo, and there was a storyline here or backstage incident where CM Punk basically and the Elite, which are Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and a few others are part of that group. They got into a little skirmish apparently backstage over a media scrum, like a kind of like a post conference after a football game, but they do it for wrestling. They did that with CM Punk and Tony Khan, and CM Punk had some comments towards the Elite, which started the whole thing. Apparently, even though there's no video of anything happening in this fight, but the words from CM Punk were publicly known. So I'm gonna play this real quick from Millennial Sparks, and let's go.
For me, that was more so due to Chris Kresge when we got into like the early portions of the year 2000. But as far as my initial engagement with professional wrestling, the professional wrestling, the magnet, if you will. That's
I'm gonna skip a little bit real quick. Let's just go for right here.
I mean, because that's how ignorant I was. I didn't even. I mean, I knew my history per se, and I can't tell. But that still does take away from the fact that I have a healthy respect for Vince Russo. Unlike some people in the business, I have a healthy respect for Vince Russo.
All right. Let me start with the whole respect thing. What does respect really mean? Number one, you guys heard that part real quick. What does respect to you in the chat really mean to you guys? What does it mean? If anybody's in the chat, put in the chat. I'll put your comment up. What does respect really mean, and what does a healthy respect mean? Because I'm gonna play the video a little further later on. I won't be that long because I gotta go. But when you say a healthy respect, what does that actually mean? What does respect mean? So hold on 1 second. I'm gonna keep it going.
And in my opinion, I wish he would come back to say WWE or even AEW because I feel his storylines as your story was said main superstar. That's the foundation of the situation as to continue to mock Punk throughout the match. Return to AEW television a few This resulted in a backstage altercation between both parties. Both parties were suspended for a few months. While the Elite returned to AEW television a few weeks ago at AEW Full Gear, CM Punk seems unlikely to return to the company.
All right, there we go. Right now, Vince Russo has a tweet. If you check out Millennial Smart's thumbnail, where he says they're mocking wrestlers that are not there anymore. Let me pull it up if I can on my phone, and then if I can, I'll send it to you guys real quick. Let me see real quick. I had it here on my email. Let me see here. I got it here somewhere. Let me pull it up. All right, we got it. Wrong one here. Let's see here. I'll pull up my thing here real quick. Let's see. Right here. Okay. The one in question that he pulled up was the one here at AEW Marks. Can't understand why I don't take their company seriously. Your initial audience on TBS network is down 600,000 from when you started over 3 years ago. What do? You have three EVs of a company, mock a wrestler who's no longer there. Who's the joke on? Now, Vince Russo was incorrect because CM Punk, even though he's not on television, he is contractually still with the company. So I don't think they can mock somebody that's still there. I mean, he's still there. He's still under contract. For all we know, he can come back at any time. So I didn't know what that was about. I think that's what set. I don't know if that set Millennial Smarter. I won't go that far with the words. I more like maybe alarmed him a little bit to what he's talking about here. But the title in question is Vince Russo. I know you ain't talking about the Elite mocking CM Punk. I think, and also with this tweet here, he's talking about ratings. And later on in this video, Millennial Smart will say that when Oklahoma was there, he wasn't a draw, which is true. He wasn't a draw because he wasn't a main attraction. People in wrestling go to see the main attractions. I know people like to go with the Intercontinental United States mid card titles, but no. This is basically it. You're not a main eventer. You are not the draw. Period. I'm sorry to say that. There's rare instances where mid card guys are draws, but usually not. Laughing Dog, what's up? Welsh Dragon says here, we need to see this on AEW. Wow, respect is always earned. The new generation needs to be understanding. You're correct on that, and that's the thing. The words that Vince Russo said was more about the numbers, not of them actually mocking somebody. The last part, I think, is what is there for the shock value, but you can't ignore the numbers. Now I know TBS didn't have a show 3 years ago. I'm assuming he's talking about the regular show on TNT, but he's right. This show is down big time. He's just wrong in saying TBS. So, and in WCW, the ratings were tanking before he got there. It was tanking. He brought it up there. Say what you want about Vince Russo, he brought the ratings up. Oklahoma was not a main event character. Plus, to add on to there, Oklahoma, the character, not by the name, the gimmick itself, started out in the WWF, not WCW. Under whose watch? Who owns the WWF? Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon owns the WWF, not Vince Russo, not Ed Ferrara. No, it was under Vince McMahon's watch. A lot of people like to say Vince McMahon was the filter for Vince Russo. All right, let's go there. If he's the filter, he knew that this gimmick, mocking Jim Ross, was starting in the WWE. He filtered it out himself. And now, as for, I'll let this video play a little bit. Let me play.
However, the animosity between both parties is still present. During the recent trios match against Death Triangle in CM Punk's hometown of Chicago, the Elite continued to mock Punk throughout the match. While the fans in attendance didn't appreciate the Elite's antics, AEW fans in general showed their support for the Elite. Now, former WWE writer Vince Russo has dragged AEW fans for siding with the Elite over CM Punk. And I quote from Vince Russo, this is a tweet, AEW marks can't understand why I don't take their company seriously. Your initial audience on TBS is down 600K from where you started over 3 years ago, bro. He didn't say that. I don't know. I'm being funny right now. So what do? You have 3 EVPs of the company mock a wrestler who's no there. The joke on, bro. Who's the joke on? Okay, let me stop. End quote. It's hard to argue that the Elite and AEW need to focus on growing their art the better part of a couple of years. I don't disagree with Vince Russo at all in regards to his sentiments towards the Elite, towards CM Punk, towards TBS, towards AEW, towards the fans, towards Tony Khan. I don't disagree at all. Again, I've been saying this for the past few months, especially in regards to the AEW media scrum. But the finger has to go up, and I have to raise my hand. Pick me, good sir. Pick me, good sir. You don't recognize that Vince Russo did things not just on par with what the Elite and what CM Punk, that whole little but he not only did things that was on par in regards to the antics, but things that were much worse in the same line of thinking. Now,
okay, he said not only did they do things on par, but they did things on, let me say, similar thinking. Let me play that back. So I get it right there.
Worse in the same line of thinking.
Okay. So the same old line of thinking. What up, real deal? Same old line of thinking. Okay. He's going to name the character Oklahoma and Asia in this one. And okay. Now, let's go with what really happened that led up to the Elite and CM Punk. I named it earlier. They had a media scrum, which was for the public to watch. Actually, it was released to the public on YouTube. Various outlets have chopped it up, played the full version. You name it, it's out there. This was public knowledge. Oklahoma at the time, with Jim Ross and Vince Russo and Ferrara, was not. Also, the character or the gimmick or the base of the gimmick started in WWF with Tiger Ali Singh calling out someone from Oklahoma, who Ed Ferrara was playing that same character you see in WCW later on. That's exactly what happened. So when they say the same line of thinking, there was a bridge to the gimmick to get to that point. The gimmick was tested out on WWF television while Jim Ross was there. So how could you mock someone who was already there? As for Jim Cornette slapping, and I'm going a little further. Jim Cornette spitting and slapping on Ed Ferrara for playing the character. Jim Cornette was there too under contract. He was there in 1999. So I gotta call BS on this for that reason, Millennial Smart, is it wasn't similar because number one, Oklahoma was never meant to be a main event character. Kenny Omega is a main event. Sir. The media scrum was public, not backstage, public. That led to a backstage confrontation. So something public that started public ended up backstage and then goes back out to the public is different than what Vince Russo ever did. So I'm just going to let that be known. And if you're in here, the link is up. Just let me know. I'll send the link out to you.
Now, again, you guys may be too young. We're going to go back in time. 26 years ago, beginning in the 1990s, there was these little skits that were happening in WWE, where the WCW, more in particular, Billy and Ted, they were picking on The Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah. The Huckster. It was these skits. These skits where they were pretty much just pick on their age, pick on their movements, pick on just essentially the octogenarians, even though they're in their 30s and 40s.
Okay, so he just named when they did it. WWF did this in the mid '90s. They made fun of Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. That is a mockery. That is a mockery. That was a mockery.
And honestly, there are some superstars who are much older than Hulk and Randy right now, which calls into question the hypocrisy of the entire IWC. But we're not here to talk about that. And I'm not sure, but again, I watched so much wrestling back then. Okay, it was this girl, it was this woman's wrestler. I can't remember her name, and this had to been like maybe late '99, around this time. Ask yourself, what do you what? It was a parody of China.
Okay, now there was this character in WCW that was called China. There was this character back then called China. She was a big. A lot of people know who China is. A lot of people know who she is. You don't. I'll explain real quick. She was a kind of a female wrestler. Started out as a bodyguard, a gimmick. Became a wrestler and was one of the more known female competitors of her time. Now you have years later, they have not even years later, probably a couple years later, they had Vince Russo was in the company who booked China, wrote for China many times. I mean, my bad for the word booking. Wrote for China during that time of her most successful time. Wrote for her. Now all of a sudden, he goes to WCW. They have a woman who was already there by the name of Double D. She was known as Wolf. She was known as the head nurse. And she basically was a bodybuilder, just like China was training to be a wrestler, just like China was, had a similar build to China. So, to Vince Russo's mind, I mean, why not create a character? And if you know anything about wrestling, they kind of do mock each other, both sides. He mentioned the Huckster, Macho Man, Nacho Man, but also they had Virgil, a mockery of Dusty Rhodes, and WCW had Randy Hogan, which was a mockery of Hulk Hogan. It's back and forth. That's how wrestling was at the time. It was very competitive. And he's younger than me. I was a teenager when this all came out, so I saw all of it and paid attention. You didn't have to be in a internet wrestling community to know this. Like they were just that was just competition. You have somebody similar, you're gonna book them the same way. And he wrote for the character China. So when he says it's a mockery, I don't understand it. Maybe he could help me understand it. I mean, I don't have that much time, but maybe he can help me understand what's going on where he says this character was a mockery of China.
That's Asia. ASYA. You get it? Asia, China. And also because like Asia was so built, and that was around the time when China started to lose her muscle tone and she started to look more woman, I don't want to say it like that, but you get what I'm trying to say. So it's Asia and it's China.
Okay, why didn't they do that with Nicole Bass? She was there too. She was actually a bodybuilder. They had her there. Why didn't they do it? Because she wasn't trained to be a wrestler. The other girl was. And if you're writing for both characters, why not take a piece here, a piece there? Even though it was bad, I'll admit Asia was a bad character. He just took the character and took another character that had a similar build and tried to remake it. That's all he did. I don't understand. So now he can't talk because he created a character that of another character that he helped write for success. Help me understand that.
China is inside Asia of another wrestler from a different company. And by the way, that wrestler who you call your friend, You were making such a big fuss when she passed away. I mean,
Now this is where he goes below the mark. So because he booked the character Asia, who, by the way, Asia did not look like a whole mockery, like a gobbledygook, or even Oklahoma was, which I'll get into a few minutes. It wasn't like that. It was basically a recreation of the character in WCW way. In the WCW way, WCW told themselves, if you know the story of Goldberg, Goldberg was their answer to Ken Shamrock in the WWF. So Kevin Sullivan or whoever wrote for Goldberg can't speak about it now. They can't talk about mockeries and wrestling not done right that are losing viewers. I don't understand it.
you made fun of her. You made fun of her. It was a parody. Oh no, but the parodies get better.
So he made fun of her. How? How? I don't remember the character doing the Titus O'Neil slipping under the ring. I don't remember the character being a goofball. Actually, the character was supposed to be taken very seriously. She was part of the Revolution with Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko. I think Eddie Guerrero was with the Filthy Animals at the time. That she was meant to be taken serious. I don't know if she was meant to be a joke. That's why I kind of, no disrespect to you, Millennial Smart. I'm a little older than you. I remember that time. Asia was not supposed to be taken as a joke. She was meant as a serious character. The reason why it didn't work was because, unlike China, she didn't have any charisma, personality to make it stand out. Similar to when WCW did a character called Midnight, which was the answer to Jacqueline, in my opinion, it wasn't done right. They brought a black woman that was supposed to be muscular, just like China was, managing Booker T. Actually, wrestled the men. I think Vince Russo, I don't know if he booked her at that time, wrote for her, I don't know, but I would say he did. But was that character a mockery too, or was it meant to be taken seriously? Even though it was bad, was it meant to be a joke, or was it meant to be taken seriously? And that's my issue with wrestling fans. Is like they don't have a lot of context. They just like to make reach and grabs and do all of this and without the proper context.
Remember in TNA, like all the stuff that was happening with the voodoo kid. I just want to
Okay.
oh wait, when they were out getting what was going to happen.
That was for ratings, just like ECW did with the Blue World Order. The Blue World Order was in the ECW, written or booked by Paul Heyman. A lot of people like Paul Heyman, right? Paul Heyman booked the Blue World Order. The Blue World Order made a mockery of the NWO, and I mean they got a little over, but it was still a mockery. Why you can't call them out? Why is it only Vince Russo? Oh, because he's speaking on it. And whenever Vince Russo speaks on something, people on the internet, whether they like him or not, listen. And that's the power that I think Vince Russo has on a lot of people that they don't want to admit, is that he has people talking. Vince Russo has people talking. And I hate to say it, Millennial Smart, wrestling in itself is a mockery of sports, if you didn't know. It is. The only difference, you have storylines and there are even mockeries of what happens in real sports like boxing or MMA. They are, you know, mainly boxing because that's really what wrestling borrows a lot from, is the boxing world in terms of setting up the fights and the press conferences and the promoters and you name it, even straight down to the athletic commission. Remember, the athletic commission used to regulate wrestling too, going to various states. So when you talk about the Voodoo Kin Mafia, Asia, and we're about to get into Oklahoma, I don't know where you're coming from with this. I think it was just a shock value kind of thing. I understand it. I see more as that. I don't. You have your opinion. I fucks with you heavy, but I'm not gonna look for you for wrestling knowledge when I know just as much, if not more, than you. You know what I'm saying? And no disrespect on that.
About as much of a bait and switch, or not even a bait and switch. That was like almost to the point of false advertising with what they were fucking doing. But I guess you can not say.
Didn't Eric Bischoff also call out Vince McMahon on WCW television, and it led to nothing as well? So why are you only singling out Vince Russo in this video, or you didn't have time to think about it?
False advertising. You do. You have 3 EVPs of the company mock a wrestler who's no longer there. DX never even worked for your company.
CM Punk is actually there, and DX actually has history with the Voodoo King Mafia, as they were both in DX. The Voodoo King Mafia were actually in DX. Yes, they were.
Yeah. What? Come on, Vincent. Come on. I love you, but come on. Okay, are we not gonna?
You could tell by this video he's no he's got viewers, he's got subscribers. I think he's at 5,000. He's pretty sizable compared to me. I'm only a little hundred here. If you can spread me out, give me to 1,000, I'll be up there. But I don't know, man. I'm listening to this video. He didn't really provide any explanation. He just brought stuff up, and I mean, they could easily be debunked, easily. And I'm debunking it right now. I just said Asia was a bodybuilder, a wrestler in the power plant, was on television prior to that, and actually somebody in the comment of his videos actually said that the character debuted before Vince Russo got there, and he actually said it. Here it goes right here. I'm gonna pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Uh, okay, right here. Shout out to Backup 368. There goes Millennial Smart right there. Character Asia debuted weeks after Vince debuted in WCW. He says how long was she known as Double D, which was her previous gimmick. And here we go with semantics. He just asked a question, and I don't see where the semantics came from. So 1 minute I was watching it, Double D, and the first she's at Asia, correct? Okay. So Vince Russo quit around, I want to say, October, and the Halloween Havoc, after the Halloween Havoc pay-per-view he started. I'm not sure that date. I'm gonna see if I can pull up Halloween Havoc. See what happens. 1 second here. Halloween Havoc was right around let's see here, October 24th. So maybe his first day. Okay, he booked the character. Even if he wrote for the character or created the character, actually he did write for China. So I don't see the issue there. If you wrote for China and then you write for something that you see similar to someone else, what's the problem? Then the Voodoo King Mafia, back then Vince Russo worked with the talent. So of course Voodoo King Mafia, fresh off being released, Billy Gunn was released like the same year he debuted in TNA, I think. Why not try to get over on that?
And at least talk about the whole stuff that happened. Just reversing back a little tiny bit. The year 2000, Hulk Hogan cuts a work shoot promo, and then he leaves the building. So now we're in the direct context of what you're talking about in regards to the Elite and CM Punk. Because now you're saying a wrestler who's no longer there, but you're talking about a wrestler who legitimately just left the fucking building and who's there, contractually speaking.
So he says a work shoot. A work shoot is supposedly when you go off script and you basically you go off script, you basically are now presented as like it's outside of the script, but it's really in script. So when you say work shoot, that defeats your whole point you're bringing up, because if it's a work shoot, then it's still under the script. He didn't leave out of the script.
Before you sue your asses.
He never sued Vince Russo. Vince Russo has the legal documents on his site. You can check it out yourself. And he's talking about Bash at the Beach 2000. The reason why Vince Russo was not even in the deposition was because only as I think as a witness was because he wasn't suing Vince Russo. He was suing WCW.
Like, pretty sure a good
You're younger than me, my friend. The internet was just there. Of course, it wasn't what it is today, but there were chat rooms, there were websites. Actually, one of them was still around, if I remember. I think Raja.com was one of the ones that was there around the 2000s. There was plenty of websites back then, not just forums.
directly talking about this shit was to get money out of the fans. It was good viewership numbers, and to a certain degree, none of these no.
Okay, how's any mid card wrestler drawing money? When you say Asia's drawing money, you do realize it took China about a year and a half to almost not out the gate was drawing money. Yeah, she was gaining popularity in 97, but not until really 99 that you started to see her shine as a star. Hey Francesca, good morning. How you doing? I don't understand it. I
one
don't
even knew
understand this.
TNA.
Hold on. I don't understand this whole thing when you are not a writer. No disrespect to you. You're not a writer. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right. Well, I'm gonna leave here. I'll be back later. I might leave this up, might not, but I'll just do another one. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, but anyways, this video, I'm gonna go in further tonight when I can. I'll send up the clip again. I'll redo this stream. Gotta go out, handle some business on the family end. So I thank you guys for being out here. But this wasn't gonna be a long stream anyways. But I thank you so much. Have a good one, and thank you. Peace.